Okay, do we have store? I hope we have storage space now. Anyways, back on what I was saying is that I realized that instead of blaming the whole world for my situation, even though I mean later on I found out that it was all these fucking people doing all this witchery and this cults, and it didn't help that the law enforcement was involved against me. It didn't help that some of these jobs didn't want to hire me. It didn't help that I had this criminal background thanks to that toxic relationship. I mean, a lot of shit just kept going downhill, but I mean, the odds were against me too. They were stacked up in a sense because I didn't know that these group of people were going out of their way and hiring people to do shit, to stop shit, for me getting housing, for me getting any kind of assistance. I didn't know that people had all this kind of connection in the world, networking and telling each other and paying each other not to do this and not to do that, and don't help her and don't do this for her, and let her and send her to jail and put her in jail and blah, 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 I mean, I found this out later, for 10 years some shit was going down, but these last 5 years I kind of figured something out. I started to figure out what the fuck was going on in my life, But then I thought, recently, this last year, I want to say, is when my mentality changed. I don't know if it's because I sobered up or because I left a toxic relationship or both. I think what happened was I realized that the negativity that I was feeling and that I was blaming the world and pissed off at the world and angry at the world wasn't doing shit for me, but leaving me stuck even further and even deeper in my fucking hole. And I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get out of this hole is if I get off of drugs, because I feel like God's mad at me. I got to get off of drugs, and I got to get out of this fucked up relationship, because I know this dude is fucking me over. I know this guy that I'm in love with doesn't love me, and he's up to no good, and I don't know what he's doing. I can't prove it. I can't catch him on his phones. I can't catch it on the tablets. I can't catch him, period, doing shit, but I know he's doing it. I know, just could never catch him. He was very slick when it came to his applications on his phone and shit like that, I mean, there was a couple of times I did catch him, but it was minute shit. I didn't know he was into fucking bisexual shit and selling his ass out there for drugs or money or whatever the fuck he's doing. I didn't know he was in this cult with a bunch of witches. I didn't know he was working for my family. I mean, all this shit came out after I left his ass, after I sobered up and did my time in jail. Came out realizing that I can't go back to that shit. That's like a fucking hole, and I'm going to end up in prison for the rest of my life if I end up with that loser, because he's going to end up doing something wrong, and I'm going to be blamed for it. All these thoughts went through my head. It must have been the ancestors, must have been God talking to me, man, telling me that my life was about to go for shit forever if I didn't leave this asshole and didn't stop my ways. I was like being forewarned, and it was the most scariest motherfucking feeling. So that's when I turned myself into jail, sobered up, and came out. I realized that life was too short, and I was already living half my life in my 50s. These things were happening to me in my 50s. Like, I lost my car, like somehow something was wrong with the brakes. I was in a car wreck, but I didn't die. The airbag still went off and saved me, I guess, but my car was totally totaled. So that's why I had to take the bus. I lost my license for that, like driving barred and suspended too many times. I guess it's considered what's it called? Habitual offender. So, but now I can get my license, and I'm excited about that I can finally get my license back. Like, everything's going up, and I have this stupid charge on me for something I didn't do. When I finally called the police on this guy for domestic violence after being choked and accused of something I didn't do, strangled, I should say, he knew the cops were coming, and he knew he was going to go to jail. And because my neck was red, and but so he started hitting himself on his forehead with a tool. The cops get there and he starts telling them that I had a hammer and that I hit him in the forehead, which is a lie. But anyways, this is what happened. So I got this serious misdemeanor charge of domestic violence, aggravated assault or some shit with a weapon, when he knows damn well I never touched him. You understand? There were so many times that he did so many things to me, and I could have accused him, and I could have put him in jail for many things, and I didn't. But see, I didn't know he was behind my back trying to plan to unalive me either. You know what I'm saying? I look back and I can laugh at this shit, but when I was going through this shit, I was really upset. I was really mad. And when I found out what he was doing behind my back, I was even more mad. But I've let everything go. Like, the thing about me is that I've always had a good sense of humor. I can laugh at my own mistakes and at my own stupidity, and I just learned from it. And it took me a while to get to this point because I said, I want to be who I was when I was a teenager before I became so not unpure with the mind, but in this mindset of just so negative and negative thinking and this negative cycle of drugs, and just where my life went to shit. I want to go back to when I was clean and good and feeling good about myself, and I was athletic and I played sports, things like that. I wanted to remember that was the last time I felt good. I was 17 years old, and I thought, I want to go back to that feeling. And that's where, not that I want to go back to my childhood, I just remembered that in order for me to get to that point, I remember why I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't in toxic relationships. I was thinking and living for the moment and putting myself first. And I started to think about that. Why did I want to go back to that time? What was it about that time in my life that made me feel good and happy, even though I was raised around abuse, And so that's how I did it. I mean, basically, when I got into this really negative mind frame, I swear I started reaching out to God. I just cried and cried and cried, and I reached out to God, His Son, and I just was praying. All I did was pray to get me out of this fucking hole. And I told Him that He got me out of this hole. I was gonna always worship. Well, I was gonna worship Him anyway. But I mean, I made a promise in my soul that I wasn't gonna ever let Him down again. I wasn't going to let Him down anymore, because I had already let my own self down. And I wasn't going to do that no more to myself or to God. And that's where I'm at. You understand? So that's kind of like my little bit of a testimony for today while I wait for the bus. See, sometimes we think that life sucks, when we're going through this struggle. But this struggle, believe it or not, everything that got stripped away from me and taken away from me made me appreciate things a lot more. It made me not take advantage of things and not be ungrateful for what's still around me. So what? I don't have a car, right? So what? I don't have a house. But I can stay at a shelter. I can camp out outside when the weather's nice. I could stay in a hotel every once in a while. I can try to get an apartment if they fucking don't look at my fucking charge of domestic. I try to look optimistic at everything, and I laugh at it, and I don't let it bring me down, because if I let it bring me down, I probably wouldn't make it this far, And it's like, why am I going to give in to the enemy? Why am I going to let the enemy win when the enemy hasn't done a damn thing for me but try to bring me down? So let me prove to the enemy that the enemy ain't shit. He ain't got shit on me or on God. And there's my testimony, guys. And I hope this inspires some people out there that are going through this struggle, not having money, having to ride a bus, or having to walk miles, in the cold, rain, whatever. Not having a fucking place to live, having to live with people, strangers, trying to, house squat or whatever you call it, or camping, it's been hard, I ain't gonna lie to you. It's been hard, and there was times that I just didn't know what was the point of me waking up every morning, but I did it, and I thought of God, and I just thought of that there was people in the world worse than I am, in situations way worse than me, and who the hell am I to be crying and complaining about that? I still got my legs, I can still walk. There's people that don't have legs, there's people that are in wheelchairs, there's people that are bedridden, there's people that are dying, and here I am bitching because I got to ride the bus, or because I got to walk 2, 3, 4, 5 miles, who cares? Do it, just shut up and do it. And that's what I kept telling myself. Stop being a crybaby. Because I was a little bitchy, a little crybaby. A brat in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I do not want to walk. How can I fucking go walk? Oh my God, I can't believe this shit is happening to me. All this stuff that I kept saying over and over. And it didn't change anything. It didn't make my life any easier. I was just bitching and complaining. And people around me were like, God, this bitch is annoying. She complains. She's a brat. She complains all the fucking time, What the fuck, And I started thinking, well, maybe I am a brat. Maybe I am being too much. Maybe I am this. And that's when I started evaluating. I'm like, well, maybe I need to just be grateful for what I have and stop complaining about it and stop bitching. And that's how I've lived my life these past, I want to say 5 years. And I'm finally getting myself out of the hole, and it feels good. It doesn't even have to be just an apartment. I don't care if I got to ride the bus for another 6-7 months until I can gather up my paychecks and buy a car. But it is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? It makes me appreciate things. It makes me know that I worked hard for it and that it wasn't just handed to me, So that's for the people out there in the world that have had it rough and struggling and trying to get up on the world. You know, you can be young or old, whatever. Just stick with it, hang in there. You're never too old. Look at me, I'm in my 50s, man. Who would have thought? And it's the outlook, it's your attitude, it's how you keep going and get up in the morning and not judge yourself so harshly and just do it. You know, just shut up and do it. Just get up and do it. And do it till you're satisfied. Do you guys remember a song in 1971? It's going to be the last thing I sing. It's, I like to buy the world a home and keep it company. I don't know how it goes. I like to buy the world a Coke, but keep it in harmony. Those words, it's the real thing. Those words, if you listen to that old song, that 1971, the Real Coke song, the words, the lyrics to that song is like the last pureness that we have in the USA, man. It's like the last of the last dying out of the innocence and the pureness, even though it was the era of the hippies and shit, you know? But if you listen to that song, there was still some innocence, man. I saw the video and it just blew my mind. Anyways, guys, if I had $1 million, I'd buy everybody a Coke. So, see y'all later, man. Have a good day and God bless you guys. Shalom, shalom, shalom. God be with you always.